and you'll see a whole 7-step article I wrote on how do you find anybody that you can't find.
Okay.
7 different steps. You should go through those top 7 steps. The last step, meaning the last thing you're going to want to do, is hire a investigator or a skip tracer.
Okay.
That's if everything else don't work. Right, I
Okay.
use that as my last step. Or I could use it as my first step, depending on how big a profit that deal could be.
Okay.
So that's just the caveat to and or this.
Okay.
Any other questions from this morning's session? Now, I know what some of you guys are thinking. Charles, you said we could do this in 30 days or less. Okay. Charles, you said 30 days or less, man. You can. You're not going to be doing all these things, I'm telling you. Think in terms of the process. That's the key here. What is that process you want to do in your first 30 days? This is the process we do. I've done 5 years ago. For my first deal, my process I did, actually 30 years ago, because I've been in the business for over 30 years. 30 years ago, and the process we're doing right now with the 28 deals we have in the actual hopper right now. It's the exact same process. Now, of course, there's automation and systemization in it, but it's the exact same process. So one way or the other, you're going to have to go through this. The question is when, because once it's up and running, the first part of your business is really solved. Because now you know when a call comes in, what I have to do first, what I have to do second, what marketing can I do, what hats I'm going to wear, and so on. So you will have to have a process in your business sooner or later. Any other questions? Okay, let's move forward. Step 3 is mo numbers. Now, what I mean by mo numbers, every deal consists of 2 main factors, the motivation and the numbers. Why does that seller want to sell? What is the reason behind that phone call? You have to drill down every phone call to find out what is keeping that seller up at night. Do not stop at, I want to sell my house. No, you want to go to, I want to sell my house because I had a deadbeat son-in-law living in it and he hasn't made mortgage payments in 5 months. That's the level deep you want to go. Do not allow that seller to take control of that conversation. Drill down to the lowest level and you know if you have a motivated seller or not. If you stop at, I want to sell my house, you don't know what you have. You don't know how motivated that person is. So drill down and find the motivation. Now you have to understand the numbers. Real estate investing really isn't hard. It's about the motivation and it's about the numbers. The numbers. The motivation. For example, meet Michael. Michael is between the age of 29 and 52. He lives out of state, Washington, D.C., Virginia, Philadelphia area. He's new to landlording and he owns less than 2 rentals. He filed for eviction or has evicted his problem tenant in Baltimore, and now his property is sitting vacant for 3 months. And if that wasn't bad enough, his new wife just told you, I told you that real estate stuff don't work. What is Michael's motivation? What is his motivation? Speak up. Exactly. Exactly. The fact that he's filed for eviction, the fact that he hasn't had a payment in 3 months, the fact that he's a new landlord. So that tells me that's a marketing strategy I should go after. individuals that had been filed for or eviction, that landlords that had filed for eviction, that are new investors and have payments that have not been made in several months. That's a highly marketed person. I can get that at rent court. I can find out that through the actual eviction filings, how long that property is up for eviction, how long that person has not made payments. I can go on to SSTAT and see how many months or years that person owned the property. Know the reasons behind the numbers, and then target those motivations to find the best deals. Brenda's between the age of 34 and 47. She lives out of state. Father and mother recently passed away 90 days ago. Now she's dealing with the issue of settling her parents' estate. There you go. Probate. Brenda is the perfect candidate for probate marketing. The numbers that count, you know these 5 numbers, you can analyze any deal. What is the after repair value? We talked about ARV. ARV means after repair value, meaning what does properties in that area that look like your subject property sells for once they've been rehabbed or in like new condition? What is the price that they would sell for? That's what after repair value means. Once you know that number, you can come up with a number of different equations. What is the rehab cost? Is the rehab cost $50,000 or $0? And you ask that question, how much repairs do your property need? And then you use your cheat sheet to drill down. Well, Ms. Jackson, you say it doesn't need any repairs. When was the last time your kitchen been updated? 20 years. Whoop, new kitchen. When was the last time your bathroom been updated? 20 years. Whoop, new bathroom. You're putting in all these numbers based on drilling down. Remember, you have to drill down to all the questions to get to the common denominator that makes this deal make sense. How much does the seller need for their property? You never ask them how much do they want. You ask them how much do they need. A want is $1 million. A need is I need $10,000 so I can go on vacation. So don't ask them what they want. Ask them what they need for the property. How much does the seller owe on the property? What is the mortgage balance? How much do they owe on the house? Is it a $65,000 mortgage balance or is it $0? It's Tamika's here. Tamika just closed a deal. She actually, you guys got under contract to sell right now, right? She actually closed a deal where the property was free and clear. As a mastermind student, they call us anytime in regards to deals they're working with. She called up and said, Charles, we got this property. It's free and clear, and the person just bought the house in February. And the house doesn't need any repairs. The owner paid all cash. So the cash price that the owner paid was about $135,000. Cash. Totally rehabbed in February. So most people would say, well, how much do you need, Mr. Seller? Well, we need $135,000. Well, how much do properties sell in the area? $135,000. Most people would say, next. No. What we teach our mastermind students is when you get a deal like that, $135,000, you structure the deal this way, and this is how they structured the deal. They gave the seller $70,000 up front. They gave the remaining balance of the $135,000 paid in 5 years with X amount of dollars per month. Now, the reason they did that is this. When they give the seller the money up front on a free and clear property secured by a promissory note, when they sell that house in December, they're going to have $65,000, $70,000 to put in their pocket for 5 years. So they're using the seller equity as their own. And they don't have to pay it back for 5 years. That's thinking outside of the box. That's looking at the numbers and saying, how can I create a profit even though the owner wants full price? Now, how much is the mortgage payment? You want to know this because it could be a deal where you could take over the mortgage payment. One of the strategies is called master leasing or guaranteed rent, where you take over the mortgage payment of some of these landlords that's filing for eviction. Once they evict the person, you take over the mortgage payment, give them $900 a month because they just got finished evicting a tenant that didn't pay for 3 months. You give them guaranteed rent of $900 a month, which is what they was getting. So you guarantee them $900 a month for a whole year, regardless if the property is vacant or occupied. They will come to you like that. Now, when they come to you, yes, I want to take you up on your offer. You're going to pay me even though my property is vacant? Yep. You mean you're going to take over my payments, $900 a month, and pay me regardless if my property is vacant? Yep. And the reason why I'm going to do this, because I'm going to give them $900 a month. I'm going to rent the property out as rooms and make $2,200 a month. So I'm going to rent 4 rooms out in the place of that 3-bedroom apartment or 3-bedroom house at $125 to $175 a week and make $2,200 a month. So I can afford to give that seller $900 a month. You can buy those deals all day long when you know what the mortgage payment is. That's the reason why the numbers that count is so important. The actual value, the actual rehab cost, the actual how much the seller needs, the actual how much they owe on their mortgage, and how much the mortgage payment is. Yes. The term subject to means the way you close on the deal. When you take over a property subject to, you're doing what's called a quit claim deed. You're being put on the deed and you're taking over the property. The mortgage is being in the seller's name. The actual actual deed is in your name and the seller's name. That's subject to. What we just talked about is called master leasing. You're not recording any deed. You're just doing a lease that requires what's called a wraparound mortgage. That's master leasing. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter.
It wouldn't trigger that due on sale.
The due on sale clause is what's called by the Guard Saint Germain Act. The property is still staying in the seller's name. You are master leasing it. The seller has the right to rent out any property they want without passing or triggering the due on sale clause because they're leasing it, master leasing it. So no, it does not trigger the due on sale clause. No problem. I love this stuff. Now remember, you know those 5 numbers, you can structure any deal. Yes.
So you have a master lease plan in your little booklet?
No, the master lease plan isn't in there, but I'll tell you what it is. It's nothing more than a lease with a right to sublease. The marketing strategy is the key. The marketing is calling it something. We call it the guaranteed rent program. That's what sells it. The paperwork is nothing but a lease with a right to sublease. That's all. This stuff isn't brain surgery. So easy a 9th grade dropout can do it. Remember, those 5 numbers, that's the key to your business. If you get those 5 numbers on any deal, you can structure any deal. You can come up with a number of exit strategies. Those are the numbers that count. In combination with the motivation is money. Step 4, my 2-step close. That's my son. When he was a baby. My 2-step close revolves around this process. You know the numbers, so you're on the phone, you got the numbers from the owner. Now, what most of you were taught to do by all these so-called gurus is to go drive out, take a look at the property. That's the quickest and easiest way to get burned out in this business. The only time we rush to go look at a property right away is if that property is free and clear or have a lot of equity. Other than that, We are doing what's called the two-step close. The first step of the two-step close revolves around use what they say to get what they got to buy it for what you want. Use what they say. Oh, the property don't need any repairs. To get what they got, I want the house. To buy it for what you want. Well, it doesn't need any repairs. When you go to the property, you're going to renegotiate the price because you found out it does need repairs. Let's look at this in real life. On the phone, whenever a seller calls us, we're making a conditional offer on the phone. A seller does not hang up from us unless we give him an offer. If the seller says yes, or we're close to what the seller offer is, we go look at the property only then. Do not waste your time. And I know how it is being a new investor. Oh, I got a call. You want me to come look at the house? Okay, here I come. Try doing that 40, 50 times. And all 40, 50 times, there's no deal there. See what that does to your psyche. See if you start believing real estate works. That strategy does not work. The strategy that works is get the seller to say yes to a number that's close to what you want to buy it at or below, and then go look at the property and then renegotiate if the seller's information is wrong. The seller said the house doesn't need any repairs. Okay, based on that offer, here's how much I can give you. Oh, thank you, Mr. Investor. Come on by, look at my house. Okay, I'll be by there today. I go look at the property. Hold up, Nelly. Is that a hole in the ceiling? What was that? And then next thing you know, you walk in the room. You're leaning. So get a conditional yes on the phone, then go to the property and renegotiate it if you find out that the information the seller gave you is wrong. The seller said the repairs is only $40,000. Ooh, no, this is about $50,000 worth of repairs. Mr. Jackson, I know we said that this is what we're going to pay for the property, but based on this new found out information, we can't pay that. Here's what we can pay. And when you give the seller an offer, make sure you back it up with facts. You're on the phone talking to the seller. The seller says the house across the street sold for $130,000. You pull the information online and find out it sold for $150,000. Or, better yet, you don't want to sell that. You find it sold for $110,000. So it sold for $110 when they think it's $130. Don't say, well, the property across the street didn't sell for $130, it sold for $110. Don't leave it at that. Provide them with the data to prove it. When you say what comps is, send them the comps that support your offer. When you talk about repairs, break down what your repair cost is going to be. If the seller believes your argument, they will discount their property all day long unless they're not motivated enough. But you have to prove that the numbers and the information you're telling that seller is correct. And use your facts. Don't hide them. Let the seller know, I have to make a profit on this deal. So if the seller say they want 150, and the properties in the area sell for 150, and the mortgage balance is 150, let the seller know, Mr. Jackson, I can't buy this property from you because as an investor, I need to make a profit. The only way I can buy this property is if we can do a short sale, and it has to have certain mitigating situations involved in order for us to do the short sale. So let the seller know that the numbers don't add up because you need to make a profit on the deal. As an investor, you want to throw that seller a rope, but you don't want to drown with them. You base the numbers on your numbers you need to buy it at, not their numbers. If their number can help you make a profit, then fine. But you start off with where you need to buy it at. I hear new investors get this a lot. Well, the seller won 150, I guess that's what I'll buy it for 150. No. Always leave the seller with an offer, regardless of how low that offer is. Why? I have sellers come back to me 1 month, 3 months, 5 months, a year later. Is that offer still good? It was then. I may have to relook at the deal and see where we're at right now. Is that okay with you? I understand. Thank you. So make sure you know your numbers and then use your numbers to use what they say to get what they got to buy for what you want. Renegotiate the offer once you get to the house. If they say yes on the phone, renegotiate once you get to the house. If they say no on the phone, leave them with the offer. Well, let me know, because on average we buy 3 to 5 houses a month. I would love to buy your house down the line when you're ready to move forward. Always leave them with an offer. There is the exception to the rule, like I said. On the phone, if I find out that the property is free and clear, I know I got a deal. I'm going to go to that house regardless of what number I'm at. I know the property has a lot of equity. I'm going to go to that property regardless because I know I got a chance for a deal. So on those deals, I'm going there. Now, there's a strategy, or should I say a science, to go to look at a property. And the magic question is, what time can I come by to see your property today between 3 and 5? Not, Miss Jackson, when can I come see your property? No. You are the investor. Take control of the conversation. Let them know that you want to come there today between 3 and 5. Don't put the control in the seller's hands. Maintain it. Step 5, paperwork to close. All of you guys that are staying here today, you will be getting this. It has in here the actual contract, the 3-page contract I use, the seller questionnaire that I use, assignment contract that you can use, business plan you can use for your real estate business, the LLCs or articles of organization you can use to set up your business. All of that comes into this playbook. The contract to buy, the one reason why I love this contract is because it allows me to structure the deal and buy it subject to owner finance. I can buy it with a rent to own. I can buy it as a straight wholesale deal. I can buy it as a straight purchase. That one 3-page contract allows me to execute all 5 of those strategies from that one contract you're going to get. And also my deal review seller questionnaire. I use that, my team, I don't use it anymore. My team use that to analyze all the calls that come in. The only time I'm using it is when my mastermind students call me up and say, Charles, look at this deal. What do you think? That's the only time I'll use it, because they have to use it in order to send me their leads. That's what the actual deal review sheet looks like. It breaks down the conversation, where the information needs to go, and so on. And that's what the contract looked like. Depending on which one of these boxes you fill out, it's going to be an owner finance deal. It's going to be a subject to deal. It's going to be a straight purchase. It could be a owner, like I mentioned, owner finance. It could be a number of deals, assignment deal, using that same 3-page contract right here that comes in this book. Now, let's talk about what I like to call the true calling of investors, and it's not a calling. It's how to be a transaction engineer. That's your goal. That's your desire. You don't want to be a real estate investor. Real estate investors are either a wholesaler or a rehabber or a buy and hold investor. You want to be that guy that can take any deal and turn that deal into a profit, regardless of what the deal looks like. So, you look at a deal and you start thinking of 3, 4, 5 different exit strategies. But in order to get to that point, you have to master one. You have to choose what's that strategy is going to be. Is it going to be the wholesaler? Is it going to be the rehabber? Is it going to be the buy and hold investor? And then once you master that strategy that best suits you, then you add more tools to the toolkit. You add rehabbing. You add tenant placement. You add guaranteed rent. You add subject to. Or you create a network where you have investors that do all those other strategies, and you make a referral profit by referring those deals to those other investors. So listen to what I just said. You don't have to know all those strategies up front. You just need to know one, but need to find out who are the investors that are doing the other strategies. And then you pass those leads over to them when they don't fit your strategy, and you make money that way. Until your curve of learning and education gets to the point where you know multiple strategies. Put multiple exit teams in place in your business that you can create or collect referral income from. Find the multiple exits in every deal. Identify those exits and you'll discover multiple ways to get paid. Wholesaling, rehabbing, buying hold, subject to, guaranteed rent, tenant placement, owner finance, lease option. All of those are deals, exits that could come across in one deal. You just have to say which exit fits that deal best. Deliver the sell side paperwork to the title company. Now, once you've got the property figured out as far as the exit, you have to take your paperwork to the title company. Most investors think this is where it ends. No. When you take it and deliver it to the title company, you should be on top of that paperwork each and every week, making sure that title company doesn't need anything. Do they have any information they have to get from the seller? Do the seller needs to go and do this, go and do that, and so on? You have to follow that deal all the way to the point of when it's closing, not just leaving it at the title company and expecting them to do all the work. They're going to do what they need to do, but you need to monitor to make sure no hiccups come into play. Because I have times where I had a title company contact me because the closing didn't happen because they wasn't able to get in contact with the seller, when all they had to do was call me to tell me to go get in contact with the seller. Not wait 3 weeks later. You wouldn't know that if you just waited to hear from the title company. Be on the proactive. When you take your paperwork for your assignment deals, for your deals, any deals, drop them off at the title company and then monitor that process, calling every week to find out where they're at in the actual closing, so that nothing comes up. Step 7, finding the gold. Okay, without the buyers, there's no payday. So we got that deal at the title company. The paperwork is there. Now we have to find a buyer. We have to find a rehabber. We have to find a buy and hold investor to take that deal from us so that we can get paid. You can create your list of buyers from free resources like meetups, RIAs, Craigslist, directory sites, MD Land Records. A lot of people don't realize that MD Land Records, you can do a search for what you would call the actual lending document or lending institution that actually owns the property. For example, a person that is using IRA money will use companies like Equity Trust and so on. So I can search for different IRA companies inside of MD Land Records and find all the people that are investing in their IRA. Buyers. And of course, other people lists. Joint venture with other wholesalers. Joint venture with other individuals, like what we do. My whole out of market, or should I say my out of state business is this. My company does all the marketing. I have a JV partner in Ohio. I have a JV partner in Florida. I have a JV partner in Los Angeles. And I have a JV partner in Houston. We do all the marketing, send all the leads to each one of those JV partners, and we split all the outcomes 50-50. So all my company does is market and create the different JV networks in the other 4 markets. Maryland and DC, that's my home base. That's where my crews are at. That's where my team is at on the ground. But in those other markets, I have JV networks. And all I do is market, and we split everything 50-50 that we close.
You have a JV contract?
Yes. And the JV contract is part of the packet.
Charles, what's the average marketing cost?
The question is, Charles, what's the average marketing cost? There is none. As far as average, I'm marketing in 6 different markets. My marketing budget a month can be anywhere between $10,000 to $20,000 a month. So there is no minimum. If you're the one person shop, use this metric. It has served me well over the years. For every 1,000 of this, expect 0.5 to 2.5 deals. For every 1,000 letters I send out, for every 1,000 Craigslist postings, for every 1,000 driving for dollars, for every 1,000 this, I can expect 0.5 to 2.5 deals closed for that every 1,000. So if your marketing budget is $150, God bless your soul. But I've been down there. I've had a budget of $150. So when I first started out in this business, it took me 1 year to make my first real estate check. And that first real estate check was $2,500. And when I made that $2,500, God knows I was the best real estate investor you could name. Nobody could tell me anything because right then and there, I knew real estate worked. You will not believe real estate work until you make that first check. Until it works for you, it's something that other investors do. Other investors make $100,000. Other investors make $10,000. That's why it is so important for you to maintain relationship around those other successful investors. If you hang around with broke people, you will be broke.